There is a museum in Tennessee devoted entirely to salt and pepper shakers. Not pottery in general, not glassware, just the humble two-piece sets that sit forgotten on kitchen shelves all over the world, and it holds more than 20,000 of them. That one fact reveals something most people never suspect, that the little shakers nobody thinks twice about are a serious collector's obsession, and that some of them are worth a genuinely startling amount of money. Somewhere in America right now, a pair that a collector would happily pay hundreds, and in a few cases thousands, of dollars to own is sitting in a box of mismatched odds and ends, or gathering dust at the back of a shelf, completely ignored, because it looks like exactly what it is, an old salt and pepper set. This is a countdown of 10 vintage salt and pepper shakers that are secretly worth real money. And the reason so few people believe it is that these are the most overlooked objects in the entire kitchen. They get separated from their mates, their little corks dry out and vanish, and they end up in the junk drawer with the twist ties and the spare keys. But that everyday invisibility is exactly why the valuable ones hide so well. What separates a 50-cent pair from a several $100 one comes down to a short list. Who made it? How clever or rare the design is? Whether the set is still a complete and matching pair, and the condition it has survived in. And the pair sitting at number 1 sold for the price of a used car, teased here and revealed at the end. And the surprising truth is that the rarest of these little sets have quietly outpaced far grander antiques, one overlooked pair at a time. Before the countdown begins, one quick favor. Go check the shelves, the spice rack, the box of odd shakers in the back of a cabinet, and turn a few pairs over, then leave a comment with any name stamped on the base and a quick description of the design, and there is a real chance it can be sorted right here, from junk drawer filler to a hidden little treasure. And subscribe before anything goes in the donation box, because the list climbs steadily from this point on, and the last few sets are the ones most likely to be quietly sitting on a shelf. Coming in at number 10 is the pair almost everyone has shoved in a drawer, the plain everyday shakers. These are the simple glass and ceramic sets that came free with a range, or in a boxed set from the dime store, and the truth is that most of them really are worth only $1 or $2. But number 10 is where every collector learns the two habits that make all the difference. The first is to always check the base, because a maker's name, a paper label, or a country of origin stamped into the bottom is the single fastest way to separate a common set from a collectible one. The second, and it is the golden rule of this entire hobby, is that a shaker is only truly valuable as a matched, complete pair, with both pieces present and, ideally, their original stoppers still in the base. A lone, orphaned shaker whose partner was lost decades ago is worth a fraction of a complete set, no matter how charming it is. Keep those two habits in mind, because they decide the value of everything still to come. It is worth adding that the little corks or plastic stoppers in the base are part of a complete set, and collectors notice when they are missing, so an old pair that still has its original stoppers, dried and yellowed as they may be, carries a small premium over one that has lost them. Completeness in this hobby is very nearly everything, and the next sets were made to be kept as souvenirs. The next sets traveled the country as keepsakes, and they land at number 9, the souvenir and advertising shakers. For much of the 20th century, no road trip was complete without bringing home a pair of shakers shaped like a state, a landmark, or a roadside attraction, and companies handed out shakers printed with their brands and mascots as advertising. Most souvenir sets are modest, $10 to $40, but the advertising pieces are where it gets interesting, because a pair tied to a beloved old brand or a famous mascot can climb well beyond that as advertising collectors and shaker collectors compete for the same object. The tell is the specific brand or place and the condition of the printing or paint, because a crisp, unfaded advertising pair with both shakers matching is far scarcer than it sounds. A pile of souvenir shakers is worth digging through, because the advertising gems hide right among them. Character shakers tied to old cartoons, cereal mascots, and gas station promotions are especially chaste, because they pull in collectors from those worlds too, and two hobbies bidding on one little pair is always good for the price. The plainer the pair looks, the more it pays to read what is printed on it. And the next sets carry a stamp that instantly dates them. That brings the countdown to number 8, and to a single phrase stamped on the base, occupied Japan. For a brief window after the Second World War, from 1945 into the early 50s, ceramics exported from Japan were required to be marked with the words "Made in Occupied Japan," and that specific mark has become a collectible category all its own. A great many figural salt and pepper shakers carry it, and because it pins the piece to that narrow post-war window, collectors seek it out, with good Occupied Japan sets trading from around $15 to $60, and the finer figural pairs climbing higher. The tell is simply that phrase on the base, "Made in Occupied Japan," which is worth far more to a collector than the plain "Made in Japan" that came before and after it. The window was so short, only about 7 years, that anything carrying the mark is automatically a piece of a specific moment in history, and collectors treasure it for that reason as much as for the object itself. It is one of the easiest valuable clues to spot, hiding in plain sight on the underside. Remember that mark, because it returns at the very top of this list on a set worth a small fortune. And the next sets were designed to hold each other. Number 7 belongs to the sets that cannot stand apart. The Huggers. Designed in the late 1940s and produced by Regal China under the Van Tellingen name, Huggers are interlocking pairs where one shaker wraps around the other in an embrace. A bear hugging a cub, a boy hugging a girl, a mother bunny cradling her baby. They are irresistibly clever, and that cleverness is exactly what collectors pay for, with common hugger pairs trading from around $20 and the scarcer designs, especially the harder-to-find animals and the sought-after peekaboo style, climbing well into the hundreds. The tell is the interlocking go-together design combined with the maker's mark, and, crucially, condition, because the points where the two figures meet are exactly where they chip. A clean, undamaged hugger pair in a rare design is a genuine find. Part of the charm is that the two pieces were made to nestle together and never quite work as well apart, which is also why so many were broken or separated over the years, thinning out the survivors. A rare hugger design that still fits together perfectly is exactly what collectors hunt for. And the next maker built a whole barnyard of collectibles. Settling in at number 6 is a barnyard of pottery favorites, the Shawnee Shakers. The Shawnee Pottery of Ohio, founded in the late 1930s, made some of the most beloved figural shakers in America. The smiling Winnie and Smiley pigs, the Corn King ears of corn, the chef, the flower pots, and the Mugsy dog in cheerful hand-painted glazes. Standard small Shawnee shakers are affordable, but the value climbs sharply with size and decoration, and the large range-size shakers, especially the pigs and the chef with their original gold trim and decals still bright, can bring $50 to $150 and beyond. The tell is the Shawnee name or the recognizable figural style, the larger size, and the survival of that fragile gold and hand-painted detail, because a faded example is worth a fraction of a crisp one. Shawnee also holds a warm place in American history, having supplied much of its wartime output to the armed forces, and that story adds to the affection collectors feel for the cheerful little pieces. A large Shawnee chef or pig pair in mint paint is the centerpiece of many a collection. From here, the countdown leaves the everyday kitchen behind, and the sets become genuinely collectible. And the next maker is prized by collectors coast to coast. The countdown reaches number 5 with the wildlife of the Northern Plains, Rosemead. Rosemead Pottery of North Dakota produced beautifully modeled figural shakers, especially of wildlife, ring-necked pheasants, mallards, quail, fawns, and even kangaroos in a naturalistic style that set them apart from the cartoonish competition. Rosemead has a devoted national following, and good pairs commonly trade from around $40 into the low hundreds of dollars, with the rarer animals and the harder-to-find designs reaching higher still. The tell is the Rosemead name or its distinctive paper sticker on the base, along with the quality of the modeling, because these were more carefully sculpted than the average novelty pair. A Rosemead pheasant pair sitting unrecognized on a shelf is exactly the kind of quiet treasure this hobby is built on. Because Rosemead was a smaller regional pottery that operated for only a few decades, its output was limited from the start, and the rarest animals in the line are chased by collectors who may wait years for one to surface. Regional makers like this are where patient knowledge pays off most, and the next maker turns shakers into genuine art. Number 4. Steps into the world of true figural art. Ceramic Art Studio. Based in Madison, Wisconsin, Ceramic Art Studio produced some of the most artful and sought-after figural shakers ever made. Elegant animal pairs, graceful dancers, and their own charming go-together designs, modeled and painted at a level well above the ordinary. Collectors prize them, and good Ceramic Art Studio pairs trade from around $50 into the many hundreds of dollars, depending on the design and its rarity. The tell is the Ceramic Art Studio mark on the base and the unmistakable quality of the sculpting and glazing. This is the maker that shows how far a salt and pepper set can rise above kitchen clutter, and it is worth remembering the name because the single most valuable set on this entire list came from this very studio. The studio operated for only about 15 years in the middle of the century, and its pieces are well marked and carefully documented, which makes them a favorite of collectors who like to know exactly what they have. Condition is critical here too, because the fine painted details and slender forms chipped easily. And the next line is the cheekiest of them all. Coming in at number 3 is the cheekiest line of all, Holt Howard Pixieware. Produced in the years around 1960, the Holt Howard Company's Pixieware line featured winking, smirking, anthropomorphic little pixies perched on jars, condiments, and shakers, and it has become one of the hottest mid-century collectibles going. The most common Pixieware shakers and pieces trade from around $35 to $200, but the hard-to-find condiment jars and the rare oil and vinegar sets climb from $200 into 4 figures, with the scarcest pieces of all crossing $1,000. The tell is the Holt Howard mark, often the letters HH with a year stamped in black, along with that unmistakable winking pixie face. A Pixieware piece is proof that a cheerful bit of 1960s kitsch can now be worth more than fine china. The whole line has ridden a wave of renewed interest in mid-century design, and prices have climbed steeply as a result, which is why a piece bought for $1 at a rummage sale a decade ago can be worth a great deal more today. The condition of that hand-painted face is the make-or-break detail, and the next set brings a den of little bears worth a small fortune. Number 2 brings a den of little bears worth a small fortune, the Kitchen Cubs. Another Holt Howard creation, the Kitchen Cubs line featured sweet polar bear cubs with pink and black faces and little blue scarves, and while it looks like the gentlest bit of novelty were imaginable, the market for it is anything but gentle. Kitchen Cubs salt and pepper shakers have sold from around $160 to $350, and a special set with the cubs standing on glacier bases sold for around $1,800. The tell is the Holt Howard pedigree, the specific polar cub design, and any unusual base or variation, because with a line this collected, a small difference in the design can mean a very large difference in the price. It is astonishing money for a pair of little ceramic bears, and yet it is not even the top of this list. It is a perfect example of how a single unusual variation, in this case those special glacier bases, can send a set that normally trades in the low hundreds soaring into the thousands, which is why collectors examine every detail rather than assuming one bear pair is the same as the next. And that leaves the single most valuable set of all. And that brings the countdown to number 1, a pair of cats that sold for the price of a used car. The most valuable set on this list unites 2 of the rarest qualities in the hobby, a top figural maker and that coveted post-war mark, because it is a Ceramic Art Studio set of Siamese cats, dressed in Mexican attire, and marked on the base with the words made in occupied Japan. That combination, a celebrated studio's artistry on a piece from the narrow occupied Japan window, is extraordinarily rare, and when this pair came up for sale, it sold for around $3,000. The tell is everything this list has been building toward at once: the Ceramic Art Studio quality, the occupied Japan mark that number 8 taught, the complete and matching pair, and flawless condition. It is the summit of a humble kitchen object, and here is the quiet shock of number 1, a salt and pepper set, the kind of thing that gets a 50-cent sticker at a yard sale, changed hands for the price of a car, simply because someone knew exactly what they were looking at. Look back across all 10 and one thread runs through every single set. None of these shakers was ever meant to be valuable. They were cheap, cheerful, breakable little things, made to sit on a table and then be forgotten, and the ones that became treasures did so for reasons that have almost nothing to do with holding salt, and almost everything to do with a few specific details. The maker, the cleverness or rarity of the design, the survival of both matching pieces, and the mark stamped on the base. The people who let these little fortunes slip away almost never do it dramatically. They do it quietly, by dropping a box of old mismatched shakers into a donation bin, simply because no one ever taught them that a $2 pair and a $3,000 pair can look almost exactly alike on the shelf. So here is the one rule worth carrying away. Before any old shakers leave the house, before they go in the yard sale box, before they are handed to a stranger for pocket change, turn each one over, read the base for a maker's name or a country of origin, make sure both matching pieces are present, and look closely at the condition of the paint and the design. Never let a pair go before checking. The difference between a 50-cent set and a $300 one is often nothing more than 30 seconds, and a little bit of knowledge. One last question, because these little sets have a way of hiding on nearly every family's shelves. Which of these is sitting in a cabinet or on a spice rack in the house right now? And, be honest, which pair was already given away or lost its mate before its true worth was known? Leave it in the comments, because someone listening is about to go check their own shelves, and the next quiet little fortune on a list like this one might be standing right there between the salt and the pepper.